This is the mid-year exam revision. This is revision number 3 for Unit 3. Diversity and adaptation in living organisms. The first type of questions is write the scientific term. They are living organisms that can't be seen by the naked eye, but they spread everywhere around us in air, water, and soil. Microorganisms. They are plants that can't be distinguished into roots, stems, and leaves. Algae. They are small terrestrial plants that reproduce by formation of spores. Ferns. They are the plants which their seeds are formed inside cones and not inside a precarp. Gymnosperms. They are flowering plants which their seeds are formed inside a precarp. Angiosperms. They are invertebrate animals that are characterized by the presence of jointed legs. Arthropods. It is a branch of biology that searches for the similarities and the differences among living organisms, and it places the similar ones in groups according to a certain system in order to ease their study. Taxonomy. It is a group of more similar living organisms in shape that can reproduce to give birth of new fertile individuals, which are able to reproduce and keeping the existence of the species. Species. It is the basic unit of classification. Species. It is a modification of a living organism's behavior, body structure, or organs' biological functions to become more adapted to the environmental conditions which it lives in. Adaptation. It is an adaptation which studies the structure of one body organ. Structural adaptation. It is an adaptation of some organs and tissues to do a specific function. Functional adaptation. It is an adaptation in the activity of some animals in different times of the daylight. Behavioral adaptation. They are birds which feed on meat. Predatory birds. They are autotrophic green plants that capture insects to get their proteins. Insectivorous plants. The second type of questions, complete the following. Animals may be big as space or small as space and space. Animals may be big as elephant or small as rat and lizard. Space and space are used in classifying plants. External shape and the way of reproduction are used in classifying plants. Plants may carry large-sized leaves, such as space, and some has small-sized leaves, such as space. Plants may carry large-sized leaves such as banana plants, and some has small-sized leaves such as molokhia plant. Space and Euglena are microorganisms that live in water. Amoeba and Paramecium and Euglena are microorganisms that live in water. Space and space algae are considered from the plants that can't be distinguished into roots, stems, and leaves. Red, brown, and green algae are considered from the plants that can't be distinguished into roots, stems, and leaves. Vogir and space belongs to terrestrial plants that reproduce by the formation of space, and they are known as space. Vogir and adiantum belong to terrestrial plants that reproduce by the formation of spores, and they are known as ferns. Space is from the plants that reproduce by the formation of spores, while space is from the plants that reproduce by the formation of seeds inside cones. Vogir is from the plants that reproduce by the formation of spores, while pine or ficus is from the plants that reproduce by the formation of seeds inside cones. Plants that reproduce by the formation of seeds are divided into space and space. Plants that reproduce by the formation of seeds are divided into gymnosperms and angiosperms. Seeds of gymnosperms are formed inside space, while that of angiosperms are formed inside space. Seeds of gymnosperms are formed inside cones, while that of angiosperms are formed inside precarps. Flowering plants, or angiosperms, are classified into space and space. Flowering plants are classified into monocotyledon and dicotyledon. The bodies of the animals are classified according to the existence of support into space and space. The bodies of the animals are classified according to the existence of support into soft bodies and supported bodies. Vertebrates have an space support, while mussels have an space support. Vertebrates have an internal support, while mussels have an external support. Arthropods are invertebrates that are characterized by the presence of space. Arthropods are invertebrates that are characterized by the presence of jointed legs. Arthropods animals are classified according to the number of legs into space, space, and space. Arthropods animals are classified according to the number of legs into insects, arachnids, and myriapods. The cockroach belongs to space, whereas the scorpion belongs to space, and they are classified as space animals. The cockroach belongs to insects, whereas the scorpion belongs to arachnids, and they are classified as arthropods animals. Space and space belongs to teethless mammals. Sloth and armadillo belongs to teethless mammals. Carnivores have pointed space and space with sharp projections. Carnivores have pointed canines and molars with sharp projections. Animals that have sharp ancestors are classified according to the number of ancestors in each jaw into space and space. Animals that have sharp ancestors are classified according to the number of ancestors in each jaw into rodents and legomorphs. The number of gerbils upper jaw ancestors is space, and their number in the rabbit's upper jaw is space. The number of gerbils upper jaw ancestors is 1 pair, and their number in the rabbit's upper jaw is 2 pairs. Horse limbs end in space to run over rocky soil, whereas camels' limbs end in space to walk on hot sandy soil. Horses' limbs end in strong solid hoof to run over rocky soil, whereas camels' limbs end in thick flap pad to walk on hot sandy soil. Adaptation is a space of a living organism's space or space or space. Adaptation is a modification or a change of a living organism's structure or behavior or function to become more adapted to the environmental changes. Birds' migration is an example of space adaptation, while secretion of sweat in human body on rising temperature is an example of space adaptation. Birds' migration is an example of behavioral adaptation, while secretion of sweat in human body on rising temperature is an example of functional adaptation. The whale's front limbs are modified into space to take rule of space, whereas they are modified in the bat into space to take the role of space. The whale's front limbs are modified into paddles or fin-like structure to take role of swimming and diving, whereas they are modified in the bat into wings to take the role of flying. Space and space of birds are modified according to food type and the way of movement. Beaks and legs of birds are modified according to food type and the way of movement. Space and space are examples of predatory birds. Hawks and vultures are examples of predatory birds. Space and space are from the birds that feed on shallow water worms and snails. Herons and poppies are from the birds that feed on shallow water worms and snails. Vulture is an example of space birds, while Dionia is an example of space plants. Vulture is an example of predatory birds, while Dionia is an example of insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants are space plants as they perform space process so they can make carbohydrates. Insectivorous plants are autotrophic or self-feeding plants as they perform photosynthesis process so they can make carbohydrates. Space, and space are examples of insectivorous plants. Dionia, Drosera, and Helophilia are examples of insectivorous plants. Hawks have space beaks to tear the prey's flesh, while ducks have space beaks to help them filter their food from water. Hawks have strong, sharp crooked beaks to tear the prey's flesh, while ducks have wide indented beaks to help them filter their food from water. The third type of questions is give reasons for. A dianthum plant is classified as a fern plant because it is considered as a small terrestrial plant which reproduces by the formation of spores. Cockroach and locust are classified as insects because they are arthropods that have 3 pairs of jointed legs. The front teeth of hedgehog are extending outward to capture insects. Rat is from rodents, while rabbit is from Legomorphus. Because rat has 1 pair of incisors in each jaw, but rabbit has 2 pairs of incisors in the upper jaw and 1 pair in the lower jaw. Sloth and armadillo are classified as edented animals because they have no teeth. When a zebra mates a donkey, they can't produce fertile individuals because zebra and donkey are from different species. Camel's limbs end in a thick flap pad, while horse's limbs end in a strong solid hoof. To enable camel wandering through the hot desert and horse to run on the rocky soil. Forelimbs of whales and sea lion are modified into paddles to perform the function of swimming and diving in water. Predatory birds have strong and sharp crooked beaks and 3 anterior fingers and posterior 1 to tear the prey, while the fingers to firm pouncing the prey or to catch the prey firmly. Some birds have long thin beaks and long thin legs ending in thin fingers. The beaks are long and thin to pick up worms and snails, and their legs are long thin ending in thin fingers to walk in the existence of water. Ducks and geese have wide indented beaks and palm legs. The beaks are wide indented to help them filter the food from water and palm legs to help in swimming. Insectivorous plant can make carbohydrates while can't make protein. It can make carbohydrates because it performs photosynthesis process, while it can't make proteins because it can't absorb the nitrogenous substances from the soil. Some plants pounce and digest insects to absorb the nitrogenous substances from insects' bodies because they can't absorb these nitrogenous substances from the soil. Scolopendra and Jolius are classified as myropods because they have large number of jointed legs. Cycas is a gymnosperm plant because its seeds are formed inside cones and not inside a precarp. The fourth type of questions is, what happens when camels have strong hooves at the end of their limbs? They become unable to walk on hot desert sand. Predatory plants cannot capture insects for a long time. They can't get their needed proteins. The beaks of predatory birds are weak. They become unable to tear the flesh of prey. The fifth type of questions is, give examples for the following. Big animals, such as elephant, rhinoceros, and camel. Small animals, such as rabbit, rat, lizard. Animals live in water. Fish, crocodiles, hippopotami. Animals live on land. Horse, lion, dog. Huge trees. Camphor, palm. Short weeds, clover, gargir. Plants carry large-sized leaves. Banana plant. Plants carry small-sized leaves. Molocheia. Microorganisms. Amoeba, Euglena, Paramecium. Plants can't be distinguished into roots, stems, and leaves. Algae, green, red, and brown. Plants are distinguished into roots, stems, and leaves. Maize or corn, wheat, pulps, camphor. Plants reproduce by the formation of spores. Vogir, adiantum. Plants reproduce by the formation of seeds. Gymnosperms, such as pine and cycas. Angiosperms. They are classified into monocotyledons such as maize and wheat, dicotyledons such as bean and pea. Animals with soft bodies. Jellyfish, octopus, earthworm. Animals with supported bodies. They are classified into animals having external support such as shrimp, mussels, and water snail, and animals having internal support such as vertebrates, such as fish, birds, mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and so on. Insects, such as locusts, bees, flies, cockroaches. Arachnids, such as spiders, scorpion. Myropods, such as Scolopendra and Jolius. Edentates, sloth, armadillo. Mammals having teeth. They are divided into three categories. Animals having front teeth extending outward, such as hedgehog. Animals having sharp canines and molars, such as lion and tiger. Animals have sharp answers. They are divided into rodents such as rat, gerbil, and squirrel, and legomorphous such as rabbit. Insectivorous plants such as Dionia, Drosera, Halophilia. This is the end of revision number 3, and this is the end of mid-year exam revision. Study hard and good luck. This is Mr. Mina Bebawy.